Most of you most likely already know at this point, but Nintendo has officially revealed the Nintendo Switch 2, and the reveal was both very exciting and also not very exciting in ways, I suppose, because this console is very similar to the original Switch, which, to be fair, I guess we kind of expected. They kind of already have a perfect design that lets them tap into both markets here, so I don't think we was really expecting them to do anything too different. That said, there are a few little innovations here that we'll go over today, so let's get into it. It should also be noted that this console is completely breaking all of the rules we've seen in the past when it comes to console release schedules. By the time this console releases, the Switch will be at least 8 years old. It'll obviously be a handful of months older by then because we're not even getting the Direct until April 2nd. So the Switch is the console that has went longer than any other console before its replacement came out, so Nintendo really took their time with this thing for whatever reason. But I do think Nintendo fans are going to be happy with some of the general upgrades and with the things they left alone as well. I do think that based on what we've seen so far, we've met a very good balance between keeping and adjusting things.
The video highlights some of the differences between the original Nintendo Switch and the Switch 2. First up, the Nintendo Switch 2 has two USB-Cs in it instead of just one. The original OG console had one on the bottom and that was it. This one apparently has two. The original OG Nintendo Switch has a USB-C on the bottom, whereas the Nintendo Switch 2 has two USB-Cs, one on top, one on bottom. Next up, we have the rails. With the OG Nintendo Switch, you slid your Joy-Cons on rails, whereas with the Nintendo Switch 2, you simply snap your Joy-Cons into place. And whether you like or dislike Nintendo's new approach, I think we can both agree they have their problems.
And along with this, it appears the console itself and the Joy-Cons have both gotten significantly bigger, which I believe is probably going to be a controversial part of this new console, because I know some people will very much like a larger Switch. However, some people are not going to like the fact that it is indeed much larger because they want the Switch to be small and portable and compact. So I think this is going to vary from person to person. I personally like the fact that it's bigger, but if I had to guess, I would say a lot of people aren't going to like that. That's my prediction, because people seem to primarily like the fact that the Switch is small and compact, but we'll see how that goes over. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Alright, for the sake of keeping things short, I'm not going to touch really deeply into this issue, but I will say this. The Nintendo Switch's screen does not bother me, and that's saying something because I'm primarily a console girl, and always have been, and probably always will. I can't complain a lot. I mean, the screen's big enough now to where I could get a decent experience on it, so it's not like the Game Boy Advance or anything. However, there is the issue with size. It is important to people, and some people are really sensitive about the whole portability thing. It's an issue that's been around for a while, as far as handhelds go. There's always this desire to have a big enough screen where you can actually enjoy the game. However, if it starts getting too big, then they start arguing portability. So as long as the screen stays a relatively small size, it's alright. I think we're at that threshold with Nintendo Switch. However, if the screen starts getting bigger, they will complain about it. They will complain about Nintendo Switch 2.
There was also a couple other changes that were shown off in this trailer. Like, we know for a fact that the console has what is said to be an improved kickstand, and we also know that the console has a different finish on it from the original Switch, so I guess it's going to be meant to feel more premium in the hand, which is always a good thing in my opinion. But one of the biggest changes overall, at least as far as appearance goes, is the color palette. So it looks like when it comes to the Switch 2, the base of all Joy-Cons, at least as far as we can tell, is going to be black, whereas the base of the analog sticks, as well as where the connectors are, where they connect to the console, and where they connect to the Joy-Con grip, are going to be colored. So in this model we see in the video, we have what looks like a peach and a blue color on those parts of the Joy-Cons, whereas the rest of them are a black color.
So we traded off the neon colors for baby shower pink and blue. Okay. That sounds about right.
There also appears to be some more buttons on the side of the Joy-Cons now, which is always a good thing. You know, having more buttons to work with allows developers to be a little bit more creative, so I look forward to how that's going to be implemented. Now, in this trailer, they confirmed something really important, and that's that the Nintendo Switch 2 will in fact be compatible with Nintendo Switch 1 games, which is a huge win, because we all know how frustrating it is to have one console that has a fantastic library behind it, and then when you go over to a new gen console, you don't have any backwards compatibility, so you essentially have to start completely over, and when that happens, there's a bunch of games that fall into obscurity because they're no longer playable on modern hardware. Thankfully, the Nintendo Switch 2 will in fact be compatible with all of the games from the Nintendo Switch library, and anything less than that would be unacceptable, so I'm really glad Nintendo went that route. That makes me very happy. I really hope that it carries over to Nintendo Switch Online as well. I would say it probably will, based on what we've seen so far. I'd be very surprised if it didn't, but I want to have all of those NES, Super NES, GBA games, N64 games that are currently playable on the Switch 1 to still be playable on the Switch 2. There's absolutely no reason why those shouldn't be carried over. They're streamed, they're not played natively or anything like that, so it should be very easy for Nintendo to do that as well.
I'm glad Nintendo grew from this. I wouldn't want it to be like it was in the past where they let their titles fade into obscurity because of modern consoles and whatnot, them not being able to be played on modern hardware, stuff like that. It's really good to know that I think it's safe to say that Nintendo has learned that lesson, finally.
It's also worth noting that throughout this trailer, we also got a look at what appears to be a brand new Mario Kart, so I think that's probably going to be one of the launch titles, which is honestly a really good choice. The Mario Kart franchise has always been a very popular casual game, and I think it's a really good game to have day one on the console. I've also heard rumors around Twitter and whatnot that we might be getting a remastered Breath of the Wild, but none of that's confirmed. But either way, Mario Kart is going to be a fantastic launch title if it is going to be one, which I would say it is, because why else would it be the first game that Nintendo showed for the console, right?
Either way, there's a Nintendo Direct taking place April 2nd, 2025. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about the release date, launch titles, and all kinds of other goodies, so look forward to that. It's Nintendo Direct, April 2nd, 2025. If you're disappointed about Nintendo's lack of innovation with the Nintendo Switch 2, it is disappointing, but I have to ask the question, why would they change it? Nintendo literally struck gold with this console, and any major changes we should expect will probably be internal ones. Nintendo Switch single-handedly tapped into both the mobile market and the home console market. I don't really see them changing anytime soon. Do you?
Yeah, the Nintendo Switch is already kind of a design that is perfect in terms of business. I don't see Nintendo just making a regular console again that isn't portable in any way, shape, or form, because then they're in direct competition with companies like Sony and Microsoft, and for a company like Nintendo that doesn't really focus on graphics as much, that's not really a good ideal by any stretch, I believe. So regardless of whether we think this is innovative or not, this was undeniably a smart business decision to leave things mostly the same aside from a few adjustments. However, there will always be differing opinions, and we want to know what you think on it. Do you think this is a good continuation of the Switch, or would you rather it be more innovative?
Or do you think like I do? It's safe, but smart.
Let us know what you think in the comments, and in the comments, tell us what launch titles you're hoping for.
Does it give you N64 vibes? This Mario Kart thing, does it give you N64 vibes?
It should.